Liz, welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, let's start off. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and how the heck you got into doing what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so my name is Liz Bohannon, and I am the co-founder and CEO of a socially conscious fashion brand called Seiko Designs. And I moved to Uganda about 10 years ago with the intention of being a journalist and making friends and building community, and ended up starting a little sandal company called Sseko, where I employed 3 young women, Mary, Mercy, and Rebecca, who were in between high school and university, and taught them how to make these sandals, and promised them that if they made sandals for the next 9 months, that they would go to college in the fall, and then came back home to the US and started selling sandals out of the back of my car. And one thing led to another, and I now lead a global socially conscious fashion brand that is creating community and opportunity for women all across the globe.
Amazing. So that's like the short version. The short version. I saw you speak at Global Leadership Summit.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it was when you were speaking there, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to her. So I sent you a DM on Instagram right away because I moved to Kenya when I was 20, and I was like that crazy chick that, just like flies off to Africa without having a plan. And as you were sharing your story, I was like, I have to talk to this woman. So you moved to Uganda. Did you have a plan, or like, what are you going to do?
No, my plan was really just to go and learn firsthand about the issues that women and girls across the globe are facing. And one thing led to another, and I met a really incredible group of young women in between high school and university who tested into college but couldn't afford to go. And so it's just kind of like the next step in front of me was like, okay, understand the problem a little bit more, try out a couple solutions, run my ideas past people who are smarter than me and more experienced and connected in this community. And then tried several things. I kind of went down the route of starting a sponsorship program, and then kind of was like, oh no, we need to use a business and a marketplace solution. And then I started a chicken farm, and then that failed. And then I moved on and designed a pair of sandals and ended up hiring those 3 young women. And that is kind of what led me to where I am.
Okay, so you said start a marketplace solution. So one of the things you said in the book is that you want to use business to solve the problems that are going on instead of the nonprofit sector. So can you talk about that and why you think that's important?
Yeah, I will say I think that there are incredible nonprofits that are doing great work that really they don't have a marketplace solution. Like, we have to be relying on philanthropy and charity in the nonprofit sector. But there are a lot of problems that charities are set up to solve that wouldn't exist if we were using business as a tool to help create long-term life lift, quality of life, dignified opportunity for people. So many of the problems that we face in the social sector of, lack of access to healthcare, lack of access to education, or all of these problems would really be solved if people had fair wage jobs where they could earn a living, where they could pay for their kids to go to school, where they could pay for healthcare, infrastructure improvements, all of those kind of things. And so it's not that I don't think that charity has a place in our society. It's that I think we wrongfully assume, oh, this is this problem, therefore the only way to solve it is with this charitable solution, when what I think is a much more beneficial way to think about it is assuming that we can solve the problem with a marketplace solution, and then until we're convinced otherwise.
Amazing. So you started Seiko with, did you say 3 employees, 3 girls that you were working with?
Yeah. Mary, Mercy, and Rebecca were those first 3 girls.
How many do you have currently in Uganda?
We now have a full-time staff of about 60 women in Uganda, and we've enabled 136 women who have gone through our work-study program, who have continued on to university and are now pursuing their college degrees and becoming leaders in their community.
How exciting is that?
It's pretty awesome.
That's amazing. And so you have a program called Seiko Fellows too in the States. Can you talk to us about what exactly that is and why that got started?
Yeah, so a few years ago, we were running this company, and we had all of this excitement about our impact that we were making in East Africa. But we started to wonder if maybe we could use our business to create an impact for women here in the US as well. And we realized that there were tons of women, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of women here in the US that are like, okay, I'm in this season of life where I want my work to matter. Like, I want to show up. I want to be a part of something that is bigger than myself. I want to earn an income, but I also want to do something good in the world. But I feel super overwhelmed about where to start, how to go about doing that, what that looks like. And so we really started thinking, like, could we use the retail side of our business to create community and opportunity for women in the same way that we have kind of used the manufacturing side of our business to do that. And so we launched the Seiko Fellows program, and it is our attempt to what we like to call democratize social entrepreneurship. So by saying, like, hey, you don't have to go out and start a vertically integrated manufacturing company. Like, partner with us. We will provide the product and the brand and the training and the community and the logistics so that you can go out and build a business by sharing the story, by hosting events, by giving incredible customer service and creating an experience, and, you know, all of those kind of things, and come alongside of us, and together we can partner to make a really big impact. And so we started doing that a few years ago, and we are all in on this model. We've completely pulled our products off of store shelves, and we sell
Wow.
exclusively through Seiko Fellows across the United States. And it has been such an amazing journey. We truly have the best community on planet Earth of just women that are just so on fire. They're so excited to be a part of something, that are encouraging one another and challenging one another and pushing each other on in their own, like, personal goals and business goals, and doing it all while having a lot of fun together as well.
Okay, so let's talk beginner's pluck. I have your book
Yeah,
right here and I read it already. I got to get it, I guess,
you did. You
early
already read
at,
it.
of course I did, because I got Global Leadership Summit. And
That's
so
awesome.
that was awesome to have early access. Can you tell us a little bit about the book? And then I got a lot of questions from
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. So this book was really written out of, primarily, honestly, through kind of teaching and training and coaching Seiko Fellows. I became very, very aware of a lot of the mindsets and mentalities that are keeping people from building really meaningful lives of purpose and passion and impact. And I started leaning in and listening to, like, what are people saying? What are they hearing? How is this actually affecting them? And realized that a lot of the messages in our mainstream culture about, dreaming big and finding your passion, are actually not really that helpful. And I'm a big believer in, like, the critic seat is the cheap seat, and you can't criticize something without actually replacing it with something that's better and more valuable. And so a lot of this book is my journey to do that, of saying, like, what are the messages, what are the mindsets, what are the mentalities that I've cultivated over the last 10 years, and that I've seen when other people cultivate and live into, they're infinitely more likely to go on and to build these remarkable lives of purpose and passion and impact.
Ooh, I love it. Okay, so one of the things you mentioned is dreaming big. So in the book, you say we should dream small, which, like, when you were speaking at GLS, I was just like, what? What is she talking about? And I, like, I get it now, but can you tell us why you say dream small?
Yeah, because I've seen so many people, thousands of people, that are so paralyzed by either their own big dreams, like, it's too big, I don't know where to start, I feel overwhelmed, I feel unequipped, or they don't even have the dream and they're beating themselves up because they're not dreaming big enough. And so having another, like, Instagram influencer yell at you to dream big when you're like, I'm trying, but I don't know, isn't actually that helpful. And
Yeah,
so what I found is incredibly helpful is giving people the permission to dream small, giving them the permission to say, like, okay, what is the big dream and how do I make that so small? Because what happens when we make our big dreams small is we actually remove all of the excuses. We stop waiting, we stop saying we need to be better, we need to be smarter, we need to be more well connected, we need to have a different job, and we actually have this posture of saying, like, I can set a goal, I can do it, and ultimately, like, that is what creates so much momentum.
totally. Can you give the example of the big dream that you had and how you made it small?
Yeah, I had lots of big dreams, but, when I was in grad school, I started kind of working on this idea for this corporate philanthropy scheme. And it was going to be a corporate social responsibility thing. We were going to get, millions of dollars from these different corporations to help us make this impact for women and girls globally. And I was really excited about it, but it was like, okay, this is so huge. Like, I need to get this job, and then I need to get promoted like 6 times. And then I need to be able to convince other people that this is a really good idea. And I need to have control over the purse strings that says, like, we can spend this budget in this way. And all of those things in between the big dream and what I thought I needed to get there ended up actually not motivating me, but instead kind of putting me into this position of, like, okay, well, I have to just wait. Like, I'll go down this path and then hope at the end of it all, maybe I can make an impact in the world. And what ended up happening is I was, at this corporate job, and I had this moment where I realized that, I said I was really passionate about women and girls and living in extreme poverty. But the reality is, like, I didn't have a single friend who was a woman or a girl who experienced this. And there was this really big delta between what I said I cared about and the life that I was actually living. And so in that moment, I say my really big dream became really, really small. And instead of, thinking about how to bring 1 million women and girls out of poverty, it became like, how do I make one friend? How do I build a community with authenticity and integrity that is a reflection of the things that I say I care about in the world? And the truth of the matter is, none of the big dreams that we have and that we've accomplished would have happened if I would have looked at that and gone, well, that's stupid. That's too small. No one's going to be impressed by that. Like, that's not good enough. But instead, like, really giving our small dreams, treating them as the sacred things that they are.
So what did your parents say when you were like, I'm going to quit my job, move to Uganda and make a friend?
My dad was mad because he was like, you've got this degree and this job at this corporation, and it's the height of the recession, and this is really not wise. My mom was like freaked out because she was like so afraid, that.
Totally. My mom was too. She's like, what
Yeah,
are you doing? You can't go to Africa.
yeah. So they were both less than enthusiastic, but 10 years later, they've come around and they are amazing supports.
Awesome. I love hearing that. So how often do you go back to Uganda now? Because you have 2 kids?
I've got 2 kids, and yeah, I really only go back once a year, and it's to
Oh,
take
wow.
Seiko Fellows back to Uganda. So I'm completely worked my way out of a job in Uganda. We have no Americans that are on staff over there. It's
Yeah.
fully employed and staffed by Ugandans, our management team, our executive team, and so they're rocking and rolling. They do their thing over there by making and shipping beautiful product that's high quality and on time, and we're over here doing our job of selling it and making sure it makes its way into people's closets and onto their bodies, and helping customers build wardrobes that are elevated but also have a positive impact in the world.
I love it. And that's awesome that you've been able to completely scale it where you're not needed to be involved there.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
absolutely.
amazing. So you
Yeah.
have the manufacturing facility in Uganda, and then how do you ship things over to the States? And do you have a separate warehouse in the States or
Yeah,
how?
yeah, we have a warehouse in Missouri, actually,
Okay.
center of the country, and so all the products come from all over the world. Uganda, Ethiopia, Peru, India, and they all ship to our warehouse in Missouri. And then all of those products go directly out to their customers. So when you place an order with Seiko, you're getting your product in 2 to 3 days. It's super fast. It's super,
Amazing.
yeah. It's coming from Missouri, which is very strategic. Unless you place a custom order, which one of the things that we do at Seiko that's really fun is we have a custom platform.
Cool.
So you can hop online and you can design custom jewelry and custom sandals and custom handbags and pick your leather colors and do monogramming and beading and really make a one-of-a-kind piece. And then that will ship in about a month from our warehouse in Missouri, obviously from Uganda first. And it comes with a handwritten letter from the woman who made the product. And so it's a really cool way for customers to have like a super hands-on kind of experiential retail experience.
I love that. Can you tell us about Agnes and her story?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Aggie is our general manager in Uganda. I met Aggie probably 7 years ago when she had just graduated from college. And she graduated from college. She's super bright, just like super smart, super passionate. But she was really, really struggling because she could not find a job opportunity. And in fact, the jobs that were willing to even interview her, she had dozens of experiences with male hiring managers who were like, hey, I'll give you the job with the expectation that she would sleep with them in exchange. It's
Oh,
a massive issue for women in Uganda and in any country where, economic opportunity is hard to come by. And so Aggie continued to persist, and I met her, and she was just this like bright, passionate young woman. But I was like, I can't hire you. Like, I don't have a job for you. Like, we're barely making ends meet on our own. And she was like, listen, let me be an intern for you for like, I think it was a month. Let me work for you for a month, and I promise that I will drive value for this company. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. I mean, I can't say no to that. And within a month, a very dear friendship and partnership grew out, and she completely transformed. I mean, our production and our procurement, and ended up going to be our kind of raw materials, logistics, procurement person, and traveled the continent. And now she runs the whole show in Uganda. And in addition to leading our team over there, she comes to the US and she speaks and she inspires entrepreneurs and leaders and impact makers to do what they were created to do. And it has been such an honor to walk alongside of her in that journey.
and so you brought her to GLS and you
Yeah.
guys flew through the air together. I thought that was the coolest thing.
We did. It was such a trip. It was such a fun experience.
Oh, that's so fun. What's a miracle hunter?
So a miracle hunting is this little mental trick to partake in that I have learned over the years. And it is really a way of dealing with disappointment and frustration and when our expectations are not met. It's really when most of us experience that, we tend to get critical either towards ourselves or towards, external factors. And being a miracle hunter is really saying like, hey, in those moments and times of frustration, of disappointment, this deep belief that like something really good is happening here. Like there is gold and it is out there, but it is on me to have the eyes to look for it, to be expectant and to believe that just because my plan didn't come to fruition, that there is not something incredibly meaningful and purposeful about what's happening right now. And really just kind of cultivating that mentality of being a miracle hunter.
I love that. That's so powerful if you can actually embody that mentality whenever crap comes your way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. So you said that every no gets me closer to a yes. Can you tell us about some of the no's that you've had? And did you ever get like so frustrated of hearing it where you're like, is this even worth it?
Oh
Or
my
were you just
gosh, of
like,
course. Like I can't even tell you about like a big no because it's just become so a part of my existence.
yeah,
And I think any entrepreneur who makes it, who doesn't give up, you either give up because you hear no one too many times, or you get to a place where you're like, oh, wait, this isn't because what I'm doing is wrong or it's bad or it's not, nobody wants it, or, I'm not good at this. This is literally just a part of the deal. Is that for every yes that I want, I need to go out and be prepared to get 100 no's. And truly what we've seen in our community, even of entrepreneurs, that it's like the people in our community that are really crazy successful, it's frankly not because they're like crazy smart or they've cracked some code that no one else has or they've got some talent or skill. It's really just the people that are grounded enough and rooted enough in themselves and who they are that they can withstand no, and that they can say like that is not a measure of my worthiness or of my value. It's literally just part of the game. And so for me, kind of gamifying it and saying like, hey, for every yes I want, I got to check off, I got to get 99 no's. And it really changes your perspective on facing rejection.
oh, heck yeah. When you make it like a game out of it, for sure that would. So you were on Shark Tank. Can you tell us about that experience?
My gosh, it was a wild ride. Yeah, this was years ago. It was probably like 5 years ago, and we were on Shark Tank, and it was probably the most nerve wracking. Actually, probably GLS was more nerve wracking than that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like live, but you're in front of, I don't know, even know, 6-7 million people, and we're sharing the Seiko story, and then that then the sharks can just do what they want with that. It ended up being an incredible experience. We didn't take a deal, but it was an amazing kind of rallying cry for our community. It gave us access to a whole new kind of slew of customers and of brand advocates, and it really was such a trip. I wouldn't want to have to do it again, but I would go again.
For sure. Okay, so you said a step in any direction is infinitely better than standing in fear-induced stillness. Do you ever experience fear now, like in your career as you've grown, Seiko, or
Yes,
how
absolutely.
do you get over it?
This is the week where I am launching my book, and it has been so fear inducing of just like, we're putting it out there. Does anybody like it? Like, what are people gonna say about it? And is it fun? Actually, no. Like, being in fear and like doubting yourself, not fun. But what I've come to learn is that like that signal, that nervousness, that fear is actually a sign that I've pushed myself one step beyond comfort, one step beyond what I know I can do and do well. And I've seen enough over the last 10 years that it's like that is where real growth and innovation happens, is when we kind of push ourselves into that realm. So it really isn't at all about getting to a place where it's like, I'm not afraid anymore. And in fact, I've had people before that have like described me as fearless, and I'm like, nope, no, 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 that is not accurate. It is not that I am fearless. It's that like I've gotten to a point in my life and my career where I don't let fear have the driver's seat. Can sit there, I'll acknowledge it, I'll say, nice to see you, you're actually a sign that I'm going in a positive direction, but like, you don't get to call the shots here. But that is very different because I still feel fear. It's just my reaction to it has grown and evolved.
Huge, 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 huge. So you ran out of money and you called it a miracle. And that's an interesting perspective. Why did you see that as a miracle?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I believe that if I would have had 2 more years and a bunch of dollars, I just would have kept like tinkering. I would have kept tinkering and I would have kept jacking around. And I would have kept like believing that it could be more perfect and probably building it up in my head. And what ended up happening is that I ran out of time and I ran out of money. So my only option was to go home and to take this product and this model and this story that wasn't perfect. And it wasn't even, frankly, to the standard that I wanted it to be at, but to put it out into the world so that I could start getting feedback, so that I could iterate, so that I could reinvest into that thing. And I, in hindsight, am so grateful for that. I am so grateful that at the time, this thing that felt horrible, like I ran out of time and I ran out of money and I need more time and I need more money, actually ended up being the thing that kind of propelled me out of that like planning and researching and into the actual doing.
And you call that preparation land?
I do. Yeah. The land of preparation that is so safe and it's cozy and we don't have to face rejection there. And so a lot of people end up staying there in preparation land for far too long. In preparation and preparing is great, but at some point you have to move the needle and to take the lead.
Totally. One of the things I tell my students is to take messy action. And
Love that.
if what you put out there is 100% perfect, you waited too long.
Yes, that is so good. I love that so much.
I have learned so much from you and I'm so grateful. What is the best book that you've read?
In my life,
Or recently, something that like stands out to you where you're like, oh man, that really touched me, or I grew so much from that.
I have so, okay, hold on. I'll have to edit this out too. I love to read and what have I recently been really, really impacted by? Does it need to be like a nonfiction thing or can
Could
it
be
just,
anything.
I just finished like a few nights ago reading a book called Catastrophic Happiness and
Ooh,
it's about motherhood.
yeah,
And it was such a beautiful reset for just like the way that this writer sees kind of the daily and the mundane with her children and kind of the beauty in the mess of it. I just really, really enjoyed it. And it's pretty funny too.
cool. I'll add that to my list. What does it mean to you to make an impact?
For me, making an impact is what I'm doing not only hopefully making my life better, but is it also creating a positive impact for the people that are in my path and not accidentally? Like, is it happening not just like, oh, I'm here to like serve myself and there's this nice like side effect that other people happen to benefit from it, but like, can I authentically say in my own life that I'm making decisions and that I'm pursuing a path that I believe will make the world better and brighter and more just in the future?
Ooh, so good. Where can we connect with you?
I'm most active personally over on Instagram. I'm Liz Bohannon. And then you can also find out more about our company on all the socials and our website. And it's SSEKO designs.com, Sseko Designs.com.
Cool. Well, I am so grateful that you spent this time with us. If you're listening, get Liz's book, Beginner's Pluck, and good luck with the rest of your book tour and all that stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to share this space with you.
Thank you.